Exactly, awesome. So read this, use it to your advantage. They also talk about in here making sure when you purchase a bottle of oil, you want to see on the bottle the right chemotype. You want to see the genus and species. You don't want to just buy frankincense. There are many different types of frankincense, and they all do different things. Some are considered more therapeutic than others. I find I like using different chemotypes. Maybe I'll use 2 different types of frankincense so that we get therapeutic qualities of this one as well as that one. Rosemary, we've got rosemary cineol and rosemary verbena. Crap, I thought I was just buying rosemary. Well, the rosemary verbena has a higher content of verbena. That's easy to remember. It's in the name. It's in there. Ooh. And then rosemary cineol, that has a higher content of cineol. So that's going to have a different chemical makeup and a different therapeutic effect on your system. Okay? So keep in mind different types of plants have different chemotypes. Okay? And then they're going to be harvested differently. But if you trust your source, you feel comfortable and confident using these things. But what do you still need to do? Trial and error. That's really what it comes down to. How many drops of oil do we go with right away? One. Right? More is not better. I don't care what those commercials say. Faster is not. You should know within about 30 seconds if this oil is helping you. If you've truly chosen the right one.
I took too much oregano oil because I thought I was getting a cold.
Yeah.
And I got these huge pimples on my face, and my skin was like burning, like I had ants.
Yeah. So you didn't take any more oil.
Yeah. Drops I took.
Oh, well, but I bet it took care of the issue, and you detoxified quickly. Right, dear?
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes, if you want something to work quickly, like her in a little experiment, then I said, you put what oil, where? Oh my gosh, where skin was lost.
That was a bad day.
But it worked right away. It worked for the...
It was a really bad about 20 minutes.
Yeah, 20 minutes, 20 to 30 minutes, it's intense.
Yeah. But
So you have to choose wisely. Would you do it again?
No.
Yeah. Yeah, once is usually enough when you do something like that. Why do something so intense when you can do it gently and it'll work just as easily and you can actually function?
I think it killed it right then and there.
I'm pretty sure it did, yeah. But skin was lost, So,
Oh my God.
Well, and then I tried it, and I used less, and I said those same choice words, and then some.
Yeah.
But it did work. I mean, no joke. So, but there are gentler ways to do these things, and that's why we do DreamWeaving technique. We experiment on ourselves because it's gentler, and you don't lose a step. Almost always keep your stride in your life, in everything, and if you've got the right oils, you see a difference in your health in a positive direction, and usually in more than one area. It's like, wow, I had to use 3 or 5 oils, and wow, look at all the. You've seen that happen. I mean, it's just wow, look at you've seen that happen. You've seen it happen right before your eyes, and it's like, wow, cool. One of the things we use is the chemistry. Okay, so we're going to kind of blow right through most of these. So alcohols. Now please keep in mind that all of these compounds do more than what we have listed here. Much more. And that the specific compounds within each group, they do specific things as well. So, for instance, I mentioned with monoterpenes, L-limonene. You know that's not an oxygenated compound, right? Because of the ending, because of the suffix. Well, L-limonene is antitumoral. I understand D-limonene is antitumoral. Levorotary rotates to the left. Dextrorotary rotates to the right. Don't need to know something like that, but it's, But man, if you do, it's like, oh, cool, okay, because why does this one say D-limonene and that one says L-limonene? If you don't know, you can always look it up. That's the cool thing about, make sure you go to a reputable source. You know, try to make sure you can find the author. If you see a study, make sure you see several people in the study. We'll get to that later. All right, so we've got alcohols. Helps revert cells to normal function and activity. They're generally uplifting and safe for young and old. Anything that's got alcohols in them. Not to be confused with different types of alcohol. Right.
Yeah.
From that lovely demonstration.
What do those hops do?
Right. All right, and so an example of that, we already passed around orange. Orange has alcohols in it, cinnamon bark, geranium, lemon, and they're not the only ones. I'll pass some books around, we'll look some stuff up. Okay, esters tend to be most calming, balancing, and relaxing, especially with the nervous system. Cool. Well, that's good to know. If somebody is flipping out, looking for an oil, okay, you can look it up in the back, or I don't think it's going to be under flipping out, but you know, you might look under stress, right? You know, it could be acute or chronic, or relaxing, or you know, it could be some emotional stuff. If it's emotional, you want it to cross the blood-brain barrier, right? You want something with sesquiterpenes and esters. Oh, neat. You see how this is working? Look at that. And it's not only, right. But does this work with only oils? No. It works with anything that's made of a chemical, which would be everything. Now we can, because you understand the chemical constituents, or once you do, now you can look up medications. Is this going to work okay with that medication? Because what's the main ingredient? You may have to look more up with the medications because the words are generally longer. Or herbs, or anything else that you might come across. Cool. Okay, I think I'm beginning to understand it. Isn't this useful?
Yes.
Yeah.
I like it.
Chemistry in a horseshoe formation. Okay, so another one that's useful that we find, an oil that we find esters in would be cardamom. Roman chamomile, right? What do you drink when you need to calm down?
Did you say cardamom also?
I did. Jasmine, that's calming. Queen of the night.
That's my middle name.
Oh, right on. Queen of the
Middle
night
name
or
is
Jasmine?
Actually, Hasmin.
Oh, well, Hasmin. Helichrysum, orange. Look, we've got orange in there again. And inexpensive one. Lavender? Let's look it up. That's a good question. Let's look it up.
Is that supposed to be like relaxing?
I had exactly that question.
Okay, here you go. Look up lavender. Who else?
If you look in the singles.
And what?
The singles.
We've got plenty of books. Here we go. Who else wants to use this? Another book, look up lavender. Me and my books.
Yeah. What do you have there? I have on my book.
Ta-da! What edition is that?
2012, I don't know what that means.
Yeah, where do you get these?
Cool.
You can get them on Amazon.
You can get them on Amazon. Yeah. Now, some of the older editions will, yeah, see how I'm having you, ooh, look at the pictures. Nice. Nice. Ooh, I like that. I like it, because I ended up looking up all that stuff in chemistry books, just so that I would know. And even some
chemistry.
Yeah, here's my little periodic table of elements. I mean, yes, we still try to break it down just. Okay. All right, what's in lavender? Terpene. So look at the main. Now that one we've got all the very specific chemical constituents, and in these books, the Higley books, we get the essential, the general compounding, and then it breaks down into pieces. So, okay, so what are the main chemical constituents? And that's probably only going to be in these spiral bound books.
Linalool acetate, which should be an ester.
That should be an ester,
Linalool, an alcohol.
or a phenol or an oxide.
Oh yeah, the three.
But
And then it
it's an
goes into
alcohol.
the terpenes. The ocamines, so
Okay,
it's gonna be one of the terpenes to go down from there.
Or, yeah, one of the terpenes.
Constituents.
See what you've learned already? It is fun.
Did you find it, David?
It's
Yeah,
a
it says,
sesquiterpene and
aromatic
ester.
influence promotes consciousness, health, love, peace, and general sense of well-being.
But focus on the chemical,
Yeah.
on the chemistry.
Okay.
Focus on the chemistry first, because that's what,
It's just lavender.
yeah, just focus on the chemistry first. It is
Okay.
complicated, but that's why we got the class.
This book has a little bit
Alcohol.
bigger print, if it's easier to see. Okay, so it's got alcohol.
Esters.
Okay, so we got, hold on, one at a time. Alcohols, esters, what else?
Monoterpenes.
Acetates, geranyl acetates,
Phenols,
But your question was about,
monoterpenes.
okay.
your question was, would lavender work?
Yes.
So what's your answer?
With esters.
With esters, yeah.
Oh,
Cheat.
it's partially an ester.
It's not on your it's not on your chart. Cheat in the book. Look under lavender, not lavandin, but lavender.
Yes. Alcohols, esters,
Bingo.
Oh, there you go.
Bingo.
yep.
Isn't this cool? You understand the chemistry, you want to be all sciencey, understand the chemistry, and you'll understand what, chances are really good that you'll understand what that actually does. Then you look at the folklore, holy mokies, it says the same thing. Oh, that is awesome. I mean, that's awesome. And that's what we like to do at DreamWeaving Technique. We like to look at the science as well as the woo-woo, the folklore, not the folklore. We were talking about that earlier with artichokes. But, you know, and that way we can, if you
That is
go
not
at.
folklore.
That's folklore.
It's true.
No, that's folklore. But you see what I'm saying? Where, that's why we look at it from several different directions, because we may have only this information, and then we can add, and we can look up to see, okay, well, does it match? Does my left brain and right brain, are they both satisfied with all of this information? And if they are, great, then we go forward. And if they are in several different instances, then we go forward. Sorry about my speech.
When you
Still,
see
after I had
the-
all those the teeth work done.
When you see ene as a component, you know it's a terpene, but you don't know if it's a mono or sesquiterpene.
Unless you
Just
know.
from the-
Unless you understand, you may have to look that up, or maybe look up the chemical structure. Because there are also diterpenes, there are heavy terpenes, there's a whole list of
Sesqua
terpenes.
would be six,
It's actually,
seven, six or
it's
seven.
actually 3 terpene units.
Sesqua?
Sesquiterpene is 3 terpene units, but 25 carbons in it. Diterpene sounds like 2 terpene units, right? 4.
Oh.
Does the cilantro crosses the brain barrier?
Look it up. Look up in the book. Does it have sesquiterpenes? See what you did? Oh, I love it. Well, what kind of a teacher teach them?
Because it's hard to get the mercury when it gets in your head, in your brain.
So it's yours, certainly is touted to be a strong chelator.
Cilantro is coriander, no, in English.
Coriander is the seed, cilantro is the leaf of the same plant. They're both from the same plant.
It's not
Oh, I see.
Cool, eh? And then we use the stems. Remember, what are the stems? Which element are the stems used
I
for?
think of the seeds, which are water, the stems.
Seeds are kidneys, water element. The leaves are
Wood.
earth. That's the fruit.
Woods are
Water.
what?
Stems are wood then.
Stem is wood. Stem is wood, but the leaves, we didn't get to the
Water.
leaves. What's left? That was the seeds.
That would be metal or
Air.
air.
Metal. Right, well, think, what do leaves do? They...
They breathe in carbon dioxide and breathe out oxygen.
Whoa, good for you.
Oh, look at that.
That's right, they're the lungs, they're the lungs.
They're the lungs of the plant. Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, right on. Pound. Point. Yeah, thank you.
Nice.
Might add, you're 10 years old.
Star
right?
of the class.
Oh, yeah, the star of the class. mention in science class. Oh, you must be the proud.
So, but for the mercury, you use the cilantro oil or the coriander oil?
We're using cilantro, and we'll probably, once my system is settled, for those of you who don't know why we're talking about this, I just had the rest of my mercury fillings removed 2 days ago. So, both sides of my mouth. But we'll probably also, there is a chelator. I have to be very careful when I take chelating herbs because it tends to work so fast. I'm so sensitive that it works so fast. The last time I tried that, I had 30 days of a rash and metal-like things coming out of my skin. That was in 2002, and the only thing that helped alleviate the symptoms of that, and I only took 2 capsules total.
Are you a Russian?
I don't know.
That sounds
Don't
like
answer
that. Have you seen
Don't
that
answer that.
bizarre illness that has those, what is it, Malagen, oh shoot, I'm sure you must have seen it, this bizarre illness.
There are
where
so
people
many
get
bizarre
like the
illnesses.
shavings like that on their, coming out of their skin.
I've seen it happen in my own skin.
Magellans.
I haven't seen it, you know,
You can look it up.
but nonetheless,
Very strange.
but the problem with me is that my tests, all my blood tests were coming out perfectly normal. There was no sign of any illness. I went and got many tests. They couldn't understand why I was having palpitations, why there was so much fatigue. Got echocardiogram, blood tests, all sorts of things. Nothing showed up. Everything came out normal.
Okay.
Did you find it?
So, did you find it?
They don't have cilantro.
They don't have.
It
it.
does.
They
No.
must.
They don't have.
Here,
it.
here, look.
You look at this thing. Your eyes are better
Do
than
they
mine.
have it in yours, David? They don't here.
Well,
You can look here, I can.
Oh, I can believe it. Let's see.
Yeah, look at Magellans, you might find.
Oh,
that
no, it's not in
interesting.
this. It's not in this one.
Yeah, not
It
in
might
this
be
one.
in,
Maybe in David's.
I don't know which one.
so we would have to look it up. I know we've got it somewhere. Unless we've looked it up on, you may have to look it up online to know that for sure, what the chemical
Oh, okay.
constituents are. Because we will do that on occasion. Or, but yeah, just to find out what the chemical constituents, and it will, different
Is it
companies
in there, David?
do different things.
Really? Can I see it?
Let's see if
I think
can
I've always
find
had to
one.
look that one up. Coriander's in this one, but
Coriander is in
we
here.
don't get cilantro from
Oh, that's right.
that, the company that is mainly in my book. We get it from a
Is it
different company.
there?
Mhm. From a different company. So, okay, so there we have it. Okay, so now aldehydes, esters and aldehydes, what effect do they have? I lump them together all the time. Calming, that's the only word we need, calming. Aldehydes, calming to emotions and central nervous system, but aldehydes can be irritating to the skin. So we're looking at cinnamon bark, lemongrass, possibly orange. These are only 2 examples. But to know for sure,
That's all we need.
we only need
Cinnamon
2.
bark.
Okay. I just happen to have, no, I had them.
I think the cinnamon would be stimulating. Wouldn't you?
Histamine.
Warm
Here's
spice.
Well,
Roman
it is
chamomile,
a sexual stimulant.
here's some
It
lemongrass.
can have that effect, for sure.
Okay. We've got 3 different oils. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 more to go. Okay. Smells good, doesn't it? Goes right to the limbic system. We'll talk about that later too. Okay, so then we've also got ketones. They help to stimulate cell regeneration and liquefy mucus. This is a good thing. Right? Dill.
I used it.
Dill has ketones in it. Helps to liquefy mucus. It's good for dry asthma. Okay, we've also got hyssop. Hyssop's good for the heart as well. We've got sage and peppermint.
Ooh, I tried peppermint.
They're good, huh? All right, here's,
I love lemon.
I'm sorry, not peppermint, spearmint. Here's spearmint. No, they never
Does this
dill.
have anything to do
Here's
with
dill.
the body ketones? You know, when
Here's
they talk
sage.
about the high protein diets,
Ketone is a ketone.
creating ketones in the body.
Well, a ketone is a ketone. A ketone in that case is a byproduct of, in this case, what you're talking about, fat,
Protein.
or in this, or most of the time in fat,
Like diabetic ketones.
breaking down fat for energy.
which is not
Or
very-
proteins, you know, you could, so you wanna look at that. Hyssop, here comes some hyssop.
You, it's a,
Okay. Alright, did those go the other way? No.
no, they're coming.
So that peppermint is toxic in large doses.
Yes, it is. It's
Oh, I drink it,
hepatotoxic.
And I drink it.
Hepatotoxic in large doses, but it's hepatoprotective in small doses. How many drops do you start with? One.
Why? Oh, I'm thinking of
Do
tea.
you use it every day?
I think it's pepper tea.
Oh, no, we're talking about
About
oil.
oil,
We're talking about oil.
toyo.
Yeah. How many cups of organic peppermint tea is equivalent to 1 drop of peppermint oil? I know I mentioned that before.
Yes, you did.
10.
I wasn't here.
Higher. What's this, like, it's like a game. Okay.
I'm on like,
Higher.
You said,
23.
23.
23 cups of organic peppermint tea is equivalent to 1 drop of peppermint oil. If it's distilled
I'll
properly.
push down on that one, David, and turn it.
There you go. Cool stuff, eh? Okay, here we come. Here comes a spearmint. We're missing the dill though. Okay.
You guys saw.
Okay, so we've got some examples of ketones.
Here's the deal.
Sage, spearmint, and they liquefy, helps to liquefy mucus. And it's good stuff. It's pretty cool.
Here's this.
Oh, here.
Oh,
I think I'm trying.
you did.
Oh, no.
Here comes the dill. Here comes the dill.
How many pounds, how many, 23 cups in 1 drop?
23 cups of organic peppermint tea, equivalent to 1 drop of peppermint oil. 1 drop. Okay, we're almost done. Let's go to oxides first. And then we just put those guys over here. Okay, so oxides are also expectorants, which help to liquefy mucus. And they are mildly stimulating. So examples of oxides might include Dorado azul, cardamom, and rosemary cineol. Which I didn't bring the rosemary. Okay, and examples of phenols would be clove, oregano, peppermint, cinnamon bark. They're the kinds of things you don't really want to put in your eye. Well, you don't want to put any oil in your eye ever, but you don't want to put it near your eye either. Trust me, I did try it when I was first experimenting with essential oils. My sinuses, I was living in Chicago, my sinuses were clogged, and I thought, oh, I have got to drain my sinuses. So I was new to essential oils. I was like, it says, it helps drain your sinuses. I wonder what happens if I put, a drop underneath my eyes. Not in them, it was just underneath. Well, here's what happens. They teared for half an hour. Use my experiences to not do things, and I'm telling you these things because you can picture that, right? And you're like, oh, and I'm like, oh, and I was at work. So I was working, I was in my office, I had patients due to come in, and at that point I was busy 2 months ahead of, I was booked 2 months early. And so I had full days coming along, and I'm like, oh my gosh. It was very funny now, but it was kind of funny at the time too. It was a little wild Yahoo. But I want to know what an oil does, so I will try it. But I will also forward the information of things that I've done, so that you don't have to try the things that are intense, too intense in your system.
When you have a skin, for instance, that's, this time of year you would use a calming, like a lavender.
When you get like
Cracks.
cracks in your skin, I would say that's a hydration issue. that things are actually dehydrated, and I would actually, instead of using an essential oil, I would actually use castor oil. When I was in firefighter training, yeah, that was awesome.
But you eat it, or you put it on the finger?
No, you put it right on your skin. You can put that right on your skin, and make sure you're drinking enough water. Make sure you've got enough omega-3 and omega-6, mainly omega-3s in your diet, or perhaps that you're eating fish, so that you can make sure your electrolytes are balanced. There are so many things. And then with Chinese medicine, different fingers are associated with different meridians. So liver is also associated with nails, so you want to make sure your liver has the support it needs in order to have strong nails. But in that case, with hangnails, I would say put some castor oil on the tips there. And we'll use that if we want time release oils, we'll use castor oil.
This is
It's
for my
nice and
nails
thick.
that broke way below the quick, so it's just that kind of.
So, but if you have brittle nails or something like that, boost your liver. Make sure your liver is leafy green vegetables in your diet, the stems of things, right? I wouldn't go just, gnawing on the backyardy thing. Mine had to go ahead. Which are supposed to be actually good for your heart. So, yeah, who knew?
Oh, no.
Yeah, who knew? I was like, wow, I just thought they were painful. And they're very proliferative. It's like,
Oh,
can't go, yes, they
Or
are.
something with like your reproductive cycle or something.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to look it up and see, because they are fertile. Wow, those things are intense.
Now, what's that? What's
Goat heads.
Oh,
But let's move on, because we've only got one thing left. We got phenols left. So phenols are the most powerful antibacterial, antiseptic things that we can find in the plant world. We already know examples of that. It helps to stimulate the immune and the nervous system, and it can be caustic to the skin or toxic to the liver in large doses. So if you're going to use, well, not only with phenols, but I think any essential oil, how many days would you say to use that in a row?
Which,
Any oil?
it depends, but I would say like 3 days on, a couple days off.
Yeah, maybe 3 days on with an oil, take a couple days off, let your body, unless you're in dire straits, but let your body find a plateau. Use the oil unless they're really helping keep you alive or functioning. Even then, you might want to rotate. Don't use the same oil more than 3 days in a row. Switch it up a little bit. Okay.
Because it can be toxic to the liver?
In the case of phenols, in high doses, phenols can be toxic to the liver. In low doses, it protects the liver. So, again, you have to really monitor yourself. Be aware of the way you feel. Like you said, with oil of oregano, that's high phenol content. But you stopped taking it because you saw, I'm erupting, right? And there are chemicals, and what does the skin do? It gets rid of toxins. Whether we sweat or whether it comes out in other ways. And that was the other way I knew something was toxic in my teeth, because I would get a skin eruption right by the teeth that were most, look at that. It's amazing.
Oh.
And I ended up with a rash over here by this tooth. That's how my body is, thankfully. My perception is that if you do get a pimple, that it's on a meridian trying to get rid of excess or something that may be toxic with that meridian or near that organ. The skin gets rid of toxins, that's what it does. And so we see those things as connected. Yes, we do. All right, so is a ketone an oxygenated compound or a hydrocarbon? Without looking, don't look at your thing. Oxygenated. Sesquiterpenes, oxygenated, or hydrocarbons? Hydrocarbons, right. Which things are most calming?
Oxygenated.
esters and,
Sesquiterpenes.
not
Too